case of John Conyers more relevant in my mind because he's a lawmaker. He, as you know, is a Michigan Democrat. Is he the longest serving?
I think he's longest serving member of the House right now, period. Yeah.
And he's 88 years old. Apparently, there was a 2015 complaint by a female staffer who accused him of sexual harassment and then firing her when she rejected him. The complaint, there is a very arcane and what appears to be, well, not appears to be, is a completely non-transparent process in the House, and I imagine one is similar in the Senate, when women mostly, although I imagine there's some men too, make these complaints, file a complaint. There's no human resources office in Congress. And apparently the case was settled. There was no admission of fault from Conyers. The case involves signed affidavits from Conyers' former staffers who describe a pattern of alleged sexual harassment in Conyers' office over a period of time. Apparently, the woman was paid $27,000 out of his congressional budget, which, of course, is taxpayer money. I think the way they worked it out is that she was paid basically what amounted to a continued salary but did not require her to actually work. I'm not sure how they exactly worked it out. She told BuzzFeed when contacted that she had been blackballed from employment in Conyers circles. And we should also add that BuzzFeed obtained a copy of the complaint from Mike Cernovich. Now, in some ways, I wanted to stop the story before I get to that part, because these are obviously important allegations, and maybe BuzzFeed is working on a story where they're going back, because it's conceivable, but hard to imagine that Conyers' behavior just started when he was at the young age of 85. One tends to, try this stuff out a little bit earlier than 85. But I wouldn't know necessarily, but my suspicion is that it's not something that you wake up at 85 and you're like, it's time.
Well, remember the H.W. Bush defense was, as you age, maybe there's certain things, but yeah.
And that seems to be rolling back, actually, though. There's more and more reports that H.W. Bush was a little bit more spry.
Okay, something when
But
direct
if it's the case,
CIA,
look, if it's the case that something mentally went wrong with Conyers in 85, and so he's starting to do this, maybe we should also think about whether or not he's suitable for office. Right. This is, I don't know how you deal with someone who has already sort of been involved in a settlement at work. I don't know, but it is what it is. And I would hope this would be, at the very least, his final term. The interesting thing beyond that is that BuzzFeed got this copy of the complaint from Mike Cernovich, who is the guy who really poisoned the well for Alex Jones having a co-host. Cernovich, I would suspect, got this complaint from a member of Congress or someone working in a member of Congress's office. And which suggests to me, and the reason why they give it to Cernovich, of course, is because Cernovich is like the one guy not the one guy, but one of the people on the right who you could actually have some type of plausible deniability as a congressman that, like, look, he's so far outside of the mainstream Republicans that the Republicans did not release this complaint. The reason why they would do that, of course, is because they don't want all this stuff weaponized. There was millions of dollars, $17 million paid out to settle discrimination suits in Congress. I don't know if this money is an example of that. I don't know if there was a specific fund that was set aside and whether or not that's $17 million. Nevertheless, the point being that if that was $27,000, you can do the math on how many of these things have been paid out over the course of 20 years. It's been now 97. Yeah, 20 years, $17 million bucks. There's probably a couple more stories in the House and the Senate. And I imagine we're going to start to see this stuff. And it's going to start being leaked, on the left and on the right. So,
who was the dude that was mayor of San Diego a couple years
ago?
He had a major story, right?
Yes.
What was his name? Do you remember his name?
No.
It was a Democratic congressman who became mayor of San Diego, and he had to resign.
Yes.
Because he was harassing.
I feel like it was assault, right?
Assault, harassment, of almost every employee at City Hall, every woman employee at City Hall.
Yeah.
Was it? Bob Filner, right?
Yes.
Right.
So we'll see. But just get ready for this. And I imagine Charlie Rose and Jeffrey Tambor and Glenn Thrush are not the last we're going to see of media ilk.
Rose and O'Reilly start a network.
Yeah, well, very possibly.
Hi, folks. Sam Seder here. We still need your help on our Patreon page. YouTube ads have come back, but not nearly as much as we had before. So if you can help us out, any little bit helps. Head over to our Patreon page right at this URL, and you'll help us keep helping you by making videos